I didn't want it to ding, so.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. My name is Janelle, and I will be doing my speech for our communications class. I chose to speak on a subject that I think we are all pretty familiar with, social media. I think most of us probably have social media accounts. If we could show by way of hands, would it be all of us?
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right, me included. I think that we could all agree that social media has become a part of our everyday lives at this point in this day and age. In fact, Pew Research Center said that today 72% of the public uses social media. One thing we may not always consider while scrolling our news feed is the somewhat negative impact that this technology may play in our lives. How does social media impact our communication skills and impact our relationships? Social comparison can directly affect the perception we have on ourselves. Communicating with people in real life may take the back burner in place of the communications we have online. And also that utilizing our time on these platforms can take away from the time spent with real human beings in our lives. This is by no means a direct jab at the use of social media platforms, as I am an avid user. I love the benefit of keeping in contact with people near and far, friends and family. But even I have had to consciously tell myself to put the phone down for a while or be more present. I have also been witness to users taking a break or going on a social media hiatus and can't help but wonder why. Is it because they find themselves in a negative place in their own head while scrolling their news feed? Have you ever received news or learned about someone's big news that you're close to via social media or the internet?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know I have. It's interesting that social media can sometimes be used as a personal diary, yet many more people have access to those intimate thoughts and relationships. It's as if we receive our information as one of hundreds in an audience instead of having a one-on-one conversation with a friend or a family member. You mean I just had dinner with my BFF and not once did she mention that her sister was diagnosed with cancer, and I come home and within an hour I notice a new post on Facebook that says how sad she is and heartbroken that her family member will now start chemotherapy. Now let's also talk about how it may be natural to go into a negative place in a situation like that regarding your relationship with this said BFF, and how we often go through life with our faces in our phone instead of paying attention to what's going on around us or communicating with the world, not on the internet. I mean, let's really think about it. Let's try to picture our world without cell phone and internet and picture it, how different it might be. I would bet there would be more conversations amongst strangers, leading to more knowledge and understanding of those that may be different than us. And we may actually hold short conversations with our neighbors or the cashier at the grocery store. In fact, the University of British Columbia psychologist Elizabeth Dunn found in her research that short conversations with strangers actually lift our moods. And another researcher, a psychologist by the name of Kipling Williams, found that even eye contact with a stranger can increase people's sense of belonging. Imagine how many opportunities go missed because we're checking for recent updates on social media. It was neat to learn that there's actually a theory behind this. We learned about social comparison theory in our book, The Interpersonal Communications Playbook, and it made me wonder how many of us could relate to this. Come on, haven't we all done it? Like, how did the jerk from high school end up with the prettiest, smartest girl in the world? Or, oh my gosh, that girl looks so flawless. Or for somebody old like me, how does that mom get her makeup, her hair, and keep her house super clean? Our book explains that this theory, that we gauge our own abilities and we see how we measure up to those we're watching via technology, and that this type of behavior can directly impact our self-esteem if we continually tell ourselves that we're falling short in comparison to the people we're watching on the internet. A lot of times what ends up happening is we're making an unfair assessment and then we assess ourselves accordingly. Our own self-talk becomes more and more important in these situations, and celebrating our own small victories rather than comparing them to someone else's would be far more beneficial for us. If we continually look at others and size up ourselves through a negative lens, it can really be detrimental to our own growth and more importantly, how we feel about ourselves. I would bet we've all been witnesses to families or couples out and about that aren't communicating with one another and have their face in their phones. I'm guilty of missing what my husband or my child might be saying to me because I'm catching something on Facebook. Depending on how often this may happen, it could potentially leave my family to feel as if they're less important. Who would I be to tell them that those feelings are invalid? I know how I feel when I'm mid-sentence and somebody may grab their phone and start looking at it while I'm speaking. It feels as if I'm unable to hold their attention, or they really don't care about what I might have to say. Do I really want the people I love the most to feel this way? Probably not. This type of behavior is certainly not conducive to us connecting to one another, and that's a huge part of communication. In fact, it creates a large disconnect if we leave people feeling unimportant. I'm in no way suggesting we all need to go home and close out our accounts, take a hiatus. But there are many benefits to technology and social media. Maybe we just need to evaluate our priorities and try to compare less, be a bit more conscious of how we utilize our social media platforms. The engagement of a third grade classmate is far less important than my 2-year-old begging to show me his new dance moves. If we strive to place more importance on the real people in our lives and prioritize those relationships, we may see less negative self-reflection and an improved sense of well-being. There's so much beauty in real life relationships and communications. I think that we could all benefit from being a bit more present. This concludes my speech, and you are free to check your Snapchat feed.